Hello and welcome. Today we have 10 deadlock tips that every beginner should know. Tip number 1, use the recommended tab. In Deadlock, you often get stronger by killing minions and converting the souls into items. But in the game, there are way too many items to keep track of right off the rip. So I recommend using the recommended tab and see what items that your character can benefit from until later on, and then you can use that knowledge, customize and play with your own builds. Tip number 2, how to spend your souls. I recommend looking to spend your souls at every 500, 1250, 3000, and 6200 range, as often items will be breaching a new tier once you reach this level. Also, don't be scared to spend 500 souls on a bunch of tier 1 items, as often stacked together early on gives a huge advantage. And buying these items are not permanent, as you will be able to sell these items later on for tier 3 and tier 4 items. Tip number 3, securing minions. When minions' health is low pre 10 minutes, their health will start to glow a little bit red, and that indicates that you're able to execute them with a melee attack, therefore declining your enemies the chance to secure your minions or souls that may float away. Tip number 4, securing souls post 10 minutes. Once the game reaches 10 minutes, all your souls will have to be secured through either shooting or executing. You won't be able to get the leverage of getting half your souls through the initial last hit. Therefore, last hitting minions become way more crucial towards the end of the game, and it gives you way more opportunity to steal souls from the opponent. Tip number 5, camp. Now there are 3 levels of camps in this game: easy camp, medium camp, and a hard camp. The easy camp spawns at 2 minutes, with the medium and hard camp spawning at 7 minutes. These camps are often best not to be forgotten, as they're an extra source of extra souls, and something to do when your lane is pushed up and you don't feel like overextending, risking another death. Tip number 6, Sinner's Sacrifice. Now, the real name is called Sinner's Sacrifice, but I like to just call them vending machines. You will see them on the map appear as this like cube-like shape with like a circle in the middle. How they work is if you punch them or just melee them to death, they will pop out souls, and they spawn around 10 minutes. I highly recommend just hitting with huge, heavy melees, as it's often faster and will cause you to lose less health for taking them. Tip number 7, gold urns and boxes. Honestly, this is going to be probably my favorite tip at the list, as I still feel like a lot of people ignore them a lot. Gold urns will drop at the 3-minute marker, and they have a chance after being broken to give you permanent buffs. Now, hear me out, permanent, not temporary buffs, but permanent buffs that stack over to the game. Like early on, they'll give you like a 1.5 fire rate, 4% ammo capacity, 0.75% cooldown reduction, 3% weapon damage, plus 15 to 20 health, 2 to plus 3 spirit damage, and these things only increase as the game goes on. I highly recommend every time you see one stopping, grabbing, picking it up, because it only takes 2 seconds, you don't have to fight, and the buffs that you will have at the end of the game will just give you a huge advantage. Honestly, the equivalent to having 2 or more items and buffs by the end of the game, just through the boxes and gold urns. Tip number 8, awareness. Now this tip is mostly going to help you guys coming from team fighters and not MOBAs, as MOBA players often know this, but you need to pay attention to your map more than ever. This is not just something just to give you situational knowledge. It's there to give you knowledge 24/7. Honestly, my recommendation is glance at the map every 4 to 5 seconds, as you'll see where your team are. You might find out potential ganks. You might know whose lane is pushed, who might need help. It is a huge thing to pay attention to the map in this game. Tip number 9, headshots. Now for you MOBA players, this is a tip more in your direction. This is still a shooter, and headshots have a huge benefit in this game. So that means faster execution on the minions, faster takes for the guardians, but it also means when you're fighting a 1v1, the difference might be who lands the more headshots. Now they're not required, and you can still kill without it, but the multiplayer on headshots is so important that I recommend that you practice while you can, or while you're starting out. Oh yeah, and also for camps too. Camps will also die faster, and your clear time will be a lot faster as well. Tip number 10, movement. Now there are a lot of movement techs in this game that are way too advanced, but I recommend you only focus on the fact that sliding will give you unlimited ammo, and that could play a huge edge in any fighting you may be taking on early on, or when taking a guardian, and help you take it faster without having to reload constantly. And that's going to do it for my 10 tips for beginners in Deadlock. Now, if you enjoyed the video, made it this far, I always appreciate a like and subscribe. and there'll be more gips. There'll be more guides along the way for beginner stuff. More in depth for souls, more in depth for team fighting, movement, all that good stuff. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day.